Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the post-game coverage from #Sports. Look at this merry little guy. Look at this. What is wrong with you? It's the only way you're not 6'5" is if you wear a sweater with feet on it. That's only
The
four.
Bills are not going to take this seriously, neither am I.
This is still taller than my wife. What are you doing?
That's too far.
What's up, everybody? Pauline from #Sports. It's Mario. So here with the post-game coverage. So let's talk a little bit about what happened, shall we?
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Oh yeah,
offered by Tim Ellington.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Long story short, right? Bills end up dropping this one 24-12. Really, really late touchdown. Josh Allen, Zay Jones. Guys, I'm just gonna cut right to the chase here. Don't look too far past second half stats because the Patriots were giving up a lot, and the Patriots were very, very quick to figure out a couple things about the Bills that we're going to get into. One of which, and it was called out on the broadcast, Josh Allen does not play at all from 0 to 10 yards. He plays from 30 to 40 yards downfield. It was called out by the broadcast, and it's 1,000,000,000% correct. And what do the Patriots do? The Patriots play great from 0 to 10. And what does Allen need to work on? He needs to work on that intermittent game. So tell me a little bit about what you saw early.
Well, think about that. Well, I want to echo as well what Trent Green said. He said,
Yeah.
listen, he needs to try to start. He's always looking up and looking downfield, which is what you want your quarterback to do a lot of times. However, Belichick's MO is taking away passes at the sticks. So if it's 3rd and 8, he's taking away the pass. So he had to go second level. In the fact they were trying to get guys in his face right away, and they had a spy on him. I didn't see too much of a like we said last week. I didn't see too much of a different game plan except for better athletes. I mean, for the Patriots than the Detroit Lions had, because Patricia, is a disciple of Belichick. We saw a lot of similar things, but they were just able to execute a little bit better. Some of the checks, I mean, we like to say Dable in his script is wonderful. Today it wasn't.
No, today was bad.
Not good. He started the game 3 and outs when he had the ball, so that's not a good script at all. And the one play that Allen checked out to where the sun was in Foster's eyes. Now, you got to have a sense of where you're playing as well. You know what I mean? So I think he may have just checked to that and said, listen, we got to try to hit this. And unfortunately, it was on that side of the field where he couldn't see. It was a great pass, though. I think. He tried to float the ball too much for me.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
He tried to put a little too much touch. I don't know if his elbow's hurting. Have you heard that before?
I don't know. I will say that Brady looked like just a shell of himself, man. Just looked haggard.
He looks 40.
Yeah, he looks haggard, man. But this is the type of football that the Patriots play come October, November, December. They really, really go run heavy. Like, this is what they do. This has been what they do for years. And we've seen the Bills be very stout on the interior, right? We've seen the Bills.
Yeah,
gaps 1 through 4 they own. Right, you could not run through the interior. You couldn't run between the centers and the guards. 1 through 4, those gaps were solid, pretty much all season. No way you could drive a truck through some of the gaps today. Just a completely different game. Phillips, Harrison Phillips, Jordan Phillips, Kyle Williams, Starlin Tulele, they got pushed around a lot. I want to get to some of the comments right away. So Matt Mallory, Bills have the worst special teams unit I've seen in my life on any level. Also, Brady looks like his arm is really weak. Absolutely. The Bills special teams, I think you had a punt basically blocked, you had a tip, it got back.
By Ramon Humber.
Yeah, of all people, right? No, it wasn't Ramon Humber.
No,
Humber was
in, he was in there, but surprising that Belichick would pick up a defensive player from a division rival and put him on his team.
Oh, yeah, I wonder where that idea came from.
And the way that the offense,
the
way that the offense was able to exploit Lorenzo Alexander today.
Yeah.
I mean, on those jet sweeps, there's no way he's catching Cordero Patterson on the outside.
No way.
So kudos to them to try to run those jet sweeps, and the concept I think McDaniels had was try to run those jet sweeps, get the Bills' defense spread out.
Yeah.
Get them wide so then you can run up into the gap. So they knew right away, if you try to run up the gap right away, it's not going to help.
Yeah.
You can't do it. So let's try to spread them out first. Maybe some intermediate passes by Brady. A few checkdowns by Brady. Shocking.
Yeah, I know.
He checks the ball down. All right.
Well, and you lose Josh Gordon, so I think a lot of people thought like, oh, Chris Hogan's going to step up today playing against the Bills. This wasn't the case, right? It's Brady just utilized his running backs and again, kind of exposed the exterior. The Patriots knew that they could get on the outside of Lorenzo Alexander, right? And I think Lorenzo's done a good job stepping up in the middle. It's not necessarily where he should be, although I don't mind him looking there into next season. Yeah. I think he could be a good situational linebacker in the middle because again, I think you have to start looking at some options on that strong side.
He knows what he's doing. It's just sometimes the feet don't match what's going on in his head, and he's been really good at anticipating certain things that have been happening. Just a stat real quick. Brady completed 13 passes today. 7 of them were to running backs.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think all the rest of them were to Edelman.
Were.
Yeah. Okay.
Captain
all right,
check down.
There we go.
Strikes again.
Outside looking in. So what's our draft spot so far? Well, slowly creeping. Yeah, slowly
as of
creeping.
Right now, I could change by the night.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, we have an opportunity to improve our draft stock again next week, but I don't know if that's going to happen. You're again looking at the Bills sitting between realistically 9 and 12. 10 no bueno, 9 fine, 10 no bueno, because of the contract stipulations that come around with that. But 11 is that money spot because if you're the Bills and you're sitting at 11, that's a very coveted pick by other teams. They want to get that. Yes. They want to get that pick because it's the highest player at the lowest contract.
And being in McDermott, or at least the organization so far under Bean has been. They like trading back. They like getting more picks.
11's a really valuable pick. So, Chris Stratton, we beat the spread. Great.
Few gamblers out there.
Yeah. Improved our draft stock. I can't wrap my mind around the run defense. What a turd of a game. 1,000,000,000%, man. And that was echoed later on. Who said it? John Patrick. What a terrible day.
That's a horrible day. Yeah.
It was a terrible day. You realize that both teams combined for only 5 third down.
5 out of 25.
Yeah, that's awful.
By the way, I gotta say something, John Patrick. Did you go shopping today? Because that would be a terrible day to go shopping. The day before Christmas Eve.
Yep.
Is just brutal.
Yep. And let's see what other things have been coming in. Oh, Tim Ellington. Every rookie receiver dropped a pass. Allen threw 2 horrible passes as well. Drops were again were a major problem, but we saw just as many Bills receivers on carts as they had receptions today. Like it was just a bad day. It's just a bad day. John Patrick comes in and says Crossman is gone. I mean, if you can't put a bigger exclamation point on somebody that's about to lose their job,
get him on there. I mean, he's ruined so many Christmases for everyone else. I mean, get him out of here. Ruin his.
Yeah. Another comment was a lot of people have been bagging, and we did a little bit too, talking about Trey White. I don't think we give Trey White a lot of praise, right? We talk about the things he struggles to do. I don't think we praise him enough. Trey has a tendency to struggle against speed receivers. That's just the way it is.
He should be in the Pro Bowl.
He should be in the Pro Bowl. But Trey, statistically, when you start looking at those advanced metrics, is actually having a better season this year than he did last year. Right, so when it comes to yards thrown against, when it comes to attempts per snap, like he's having the best season of his career. The problem is that when guys get open, the passes seem to be coming his way, right? But for the most part, teams have been avoiding him. But again, you get those matchups like against Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay is really a very good receiver.
He is.
And I don't think he gets a lot of mainstream attention because he's in Detroit, right? And they're not very good. But Kenny Golladay is a very, very good receiver. 5 of 25 for third down conversions. Just a bad football game to watch when you're 5 of 25.
Last 2 have been very boring.
Yeah,
it's a very boring game. I mean, there's a few things you can analyze. You can analyze Josh Allen's decision making, him trying to put some touch on a few of the passes. I get that. However, he was throwing it right into the teeth of the defense a lot of times. I don't know. Belichick employed a beautiful strategy against Allen when they decided to go 5 wide because that's been their bread and butter. 5 wide, spread out the field, let Allen pick his receiver, almost like a spread quarterback.
Yeah.
Pro style guy. You want to get him acclimated to NFL speed. Spread's not a bad idea.
Right.
But in that, he had every guy up at the line, so Allen didn't know who was coming and who wasn't.
Right.
So disguising that, making sure that because as we said before, he's not making line calls. So the line's making the line calls. He leans up, gets the line call, and then tries to find an open guy, and a few times he didn't.
Well, exactly. A quarterback that can't manipulate at the line of scrimmage is given Belichick's defense just the ability to just do whatever they want. here's what they did. They played man and said, go ahead. No, just throw it against us. Go ahead. And unfortunately, one thing that I would really like to see, and we're not going to see it till probably Tuesday or Wednesday, from an advanced metric standpoint, is yards per attempt. Because Allen was just throwing the ball downfield all game long. It's all he did was throw the ball downfield. If his yards per attempt isn't over 10, I'll be shocked. Like most NFL quarterbacks, your yards per attempt is between 7 and 9. Like that's like right around efficient, right? His is going to be high for this game. It's going to be real high. And I would like to say that I saw development on Allen. I did, man. He saw a lot of stuff today that scared the hell out of him. And again, without the knowledge or ability to move things at the line of scrimmage, he really, really, really struggled.
Well, I saw exactly what I thought I was going to. Our episode yesterday, when we posted it, we did kind of, near the end of the episode, we did kind of a little preview of the Patriots game, and we said, you asked me, and you started laughing about it. You said, listen, what do you see out of Josh Allen next week against the Patriots? And I said, confusion.
Right.
And that's what you saw. Some of the questionable play calls that were going on, like, what are you doing? All right, if you know it's 4-down territory, right? You're down 14-0, you're in Patriots territory. Why do you call an option run for Allen and then throw a fade?
Yeah.
I don't understand that at all. I mean, I understand maybe a back shoulder, but he doesn't have that in his repertoire. We had not seen him complete a back shoulder throw.
No.
Then the thing about it was, I was asking, because Foster was taking him deep. Why not cut off his route? Make Gilmore think you're going deep and then come back. They wanted to pick on Gilmore today for some reason.
Yeah.
And during the broadcast, they said, well, Gilmore's a Pro Bowl cornerback. We know the stock of Gilmore and how he could be beat. But it just didn't seem like they wanted to do that.
No. Jonathan Koch says, can we take a moment to appreciate that the D made Tom Brady look average? Yeah, 2 interceptions today, man. Brady looked bad, dude. Like, he just looked old.
I want someone to explain to me, because this is the Tom Brady, other than, like, you don't want to see those 300, 400-yard games. What did he do today that no other quarterback could have done in the league? Name something that he did that was only Tom Brady could have done today. I
mean, we don't have the advantage of knowing, the things that he manipulates out of the huddle, right? And that's not it.
He was
that didn't go
supported
anywhere.
by 270 yards rushing.
Yeah, I know, but how many of those were checks? You know what I mean?
He checked down.
They had 175. They had basically 175 yards rushing by halftime, right? So it was a bad day for this defense from a rushing standpoint. Stencil Kitzer, fire Dable, please. He's garbage and predictable. Once the Bills were down and they had to start throwing the ball, they didn't even. There wasn't even a thought that they were going to be running the football. There wasn't even a thought.
How's the Kool-Aid taste, Stencil? Fire Dable.
I know, right?
That's so awesome. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've been banging that drum. It's funny though, because every week I'll see stuff that I kind of like.
Yeah.
But then to your point, it seems like the talent will trump the play.
Yeah.
Like he got out of that play and he got positive yardage because of the talent on the team, not because of the scheme that was designed behind it.
Right.
And I think that's an important point that everyone needs to kind of focus on, is the fact that the talent of the players sometimes is what makes the play, not the scheme itself.
Right.
So just try to focus on that a lot of time. And another thing that I focused on today, I saw it right out of the gate in the first drive for the Buffalo Bills when they went 3 and out. Allen comes up to the line, doesn't look anywhere.
Nope. Just comes up.
Calls the play, handoff. Calls the play, handoff. And then the next, it's 3rd long, obviously.
Yeah, now he's...
All right, go here.
Now he's peacocking around, seeing what's going on.
It was ridiculous. So, if we're seeing that, defensive coordinators are seeing that.
Yeah.
And he's not using that to his advantage. If I came up to the line and I kind of glanced at what the coverage was and there was going to be a pass play, I would tear right down the barrel of the defense and do nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
especially on play action.
Well, and John Patrick mentioned it earlier. The Bills missed Teron Johnson and Milano badly today, and I think you saw the play of Edmonds in the middle really suffer without Milano, because he was just bite. By the 4th series, he thought everything was a run, and he was biting on everything, and that left Alexander on an island, right? And while Milano has the ability to be left on an island a little bit more because he's a bit more physically capable, Alexander just doesn't have the twitch that Milano does to be able to turn on the speed and go. Does he have the knowledge? Yeah, I mean, I'd love to put Lorenzo Alexander's mind into Matt Milano, although Milano's playing great. So
Milano's phenomenal.
Yeah, Milano's playing great. But you really saw Edmonds take a major step back today because, again, there he was, being tall and weak at the line, biting in the wrong gaps all day long. And this was the same Lorenzo Alexander we saw week 1, week 2, weeks 3. You know, and
it's just getting tired now.
Yeah.
You want to talk about like the length of the season for some of these rookies? It's just going to hurt them. But the strength of Edmonds is for him to get sideline to sideline, and he did not do that today.
No,
like you said, he was biting up. Now here's the thing that they had to do, because like we said, the adjustments that you make in game after guys start to cover up what you're doing, they run jet sweep. So what happens? They start putting Hyde and Poyer down in the box to cover that. Now you're taking a guy away from covering Edelman. So then he hits that little intermediate one. You're like, well, we got to take him back out of the box again.
Right.
Now, hey, they're out of the box.
Well, that's what happened.
So that's what you talk about with Tom Brady's genius. Whereas, okay, if he's not in the box, I'm going to run the jet sweep. If he's in the box, I'm going to run that quick thing.
Well, I mean, Brady threw a check down route to Burkhead for 30 yards because Edmonds blitzed in and Alexander's like, I was supposed to have the guy in the slot. What happened? Robert Morlock, thank you very much for commenting. I don't think you've ever commented. Thank you for your comment. If we had a bell, we'd ring it. I can hit the button on my keys and make my alarm go off in the parking lot.
Thank you for being faithful.
Thank you guys for your show. Faithful watcher. Josh will be fine when he gets some weapons. The weapons didn't help him today.
No, they didn't.
Foster, alligator arms, a long pass along the right sideline. Said he couldn't see it, right? McKenzie dropped a bullet over the middle. But, I mean, guys.
Zay, Kroom, everyone dropped past him.
Yeah, Kroom.
But, before we get to Kroom, healthy and active. Charles Clay.
Yeah, we talked about, did that make the episodes last week? Mm-hmm. All right, attaboy. Give me a high five for that post-production. Yeah. All right, good. Yeah, so we had talked about what was the future going to hold for Charles Clay and what was it going to say now that he was healthy. Played last week, really was ineffective last week.
I thought it was going to happen 2 games earlier.
I didn't, I'm with you, but he had an injury. They brought him back, and after last game, I think they just said, we're done here. We're done here.
And I don't know how many of you guys decided to follow us on Twitter and whatnot. I tweeted out after Kroon fumbled near the goal line. I said, please don't tell me that's a $9 million fumble.
What you mean by Charles Clay?
Clay coming back, you know what I mean? So I think they wanted to try to give the reins to Kroon and Logan Thomas and say, hey, will we have to draft a guy in the 4th round next year? Or get a guy in free agency?
There's actually a lot of really solid tight ends in the draft class this year. So that's something that's coming into the Bills' advantage, is the fact that the tight ends are really looking good.
Because that's not the new tight end that's coming
out.
It's
not. No, it's that pass-catching, dynamic, O.J. Howard, athletic tight end. Logan Thomas today, I did not think blocked very well. There were a couple plays where he came up and he was supposed to seal the edge on the option, and he came up like this. Come on, man. You got hands for a reason. You got hands for a reason.
Did you see Kroon coming across on some trap plays?
Yeah.
He was coming across that's what they're going to need.
Yeah, they do. And I like Kroon a lot. I really do. But, I think when you talk about the Kroon fumble, I don't think that would have happened. It was Charles Clay because Charles Clay wouldn't have been open, and if he would have dropped the ball. So I think,
He did it. He definitely did it.
It's just Charles Clay isn't that good. He's just not that good. It's just not that good. So, but the draft is loaded with tight end talent. So they're actually talking about, I say they, I think CBS had an article out last week or a couple weeks ago talking about the tight end class is actually outranking the wide receiver class at the top of the board. Yeah, and if you're the Bills, right? What are you looking for? You're looking for offensive weapons. So you do not want a bad wide receiver draft coming into an offseason where you need wide receivers. But what do you need still? Well, okay, you may not get that help at the wide receiver position, but a dynamic tight end could buy your receivers a little bit of time. It's going to take a guy out of the middle, so it can open up some things in your game if you have a guy like that.
Absolutely.
Now, Rob Gronkowski today, speaking of dynamic tight ends, Rob Gronkowski playing looks older than Brady. Oh man, he's so slow. But he's still a strong guy. So if he gets his hands on you, he's a dynamic run blocking tight end. He's really stepped up that part of his game. Zay not trusted by Allen. What's his future in Buffalo? Dude, Zay's looking rough. Like if you can't separate yourself from this wide receiver group on the Bills,
no.
Zay should be getting targeted 7 times a game.
Is he the second round version of Corey Coleman?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, because Coleman was first round, Zay was second round. Is he the?
No, I don't think that's fair to say. I don't think that's fair to say.
If Zay Jones, well, let me ask you this: if Zay Jones was a 5th round pick,
I don't think anybody'd be upset by his production.
no, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that because they had to they had to trade up to get a 2nd round, you think he should have Jones? But how could it? I mean, you said something on a very, very early episode that we talked about a lot. You can't accurately evaluate a wide receiver in this offense because of the offense. You know, and this was during the Tyrod Taylor days. Do you think it's unfair to evaluate?
We're gonna go back to that nightmare. All right.
No, I'm saying when we talked about this last year, you said, is it fair that you can't accurately observe or evaluate wide receivers in this offense because so many moving parts, so many changes, rookie quarterback? How can you accurately now? You can if you hits it in the hands, you don't catch it. And he's been known to just do this all day.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's afraid of Allen's arm or what, but it's he's not catching the ball.
Yeah, it's bad. But I mean, he had that tendency last year with Tyrod, who had half the arm strength that Allen did. So I mean, this is just a built-in tendency. Zay came from playing the slot in college. So let's just talk about that just for a real quick second. So Zay had a tendency in college to let the ball get inside on him, right? So he wasn't getting out of the ball, but he's playing the slot. Tell me when you see Julian Edelman extend his arms to catch a ball in the slot. You don't. Edelman's been in the slot his whole career. It's pretty common because the ball's coming in at a pretty hot, it's coming in with some good velocity, and you're not really that far away from it. So a lot of slot receivers do have a tendency to let the ball get inside on him. The problem is he's not going to be playing the slot. He's not going to be playing the slot. They're going to try and push him outside.
No.
They're going to try and push him outside.
Well, I hope he puts on about 30 pounds.
I'm just telling you the way it is.
Coverage.
But again, you can't say that this wasn't a problem that Zay had, because on film it definitely showed up. But a lot of people said, "Oh, well, it's because he's playing the slot." Don't worry, I'm sure it'll develop. It's not. So that's the tendency that we're seeing with Zay right now.
Does he belong in the slot? You think he's better in the slot?
He's your 4th wide receiver right now.
Ooh.
I mean, I hate to say it. Because I really loved Zay Jones coming out of college. But he's your 4th wide receiver. Tim Ellington, before this game, I came on board for picking up Le'Veon Bell. After this game, I became against it because I see too many holes. So you're talking from a dollar standpoint, I assume. Le'Veon Bell's going to cost you a lot of money, right? And he's going to follow the dollar sign.
5 for 75 is the number this guy said.
Yeah, that's a realistic number. For what he turned down, he's going to look for that money back. But remember, the Bills are clearing... $50 million in dead cap money, so it's like losing two top elite level contracts.
Well, the thing too that a lot of people are talking about is that it'll affect the culture of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
However, if you have 48 guys that are already bought into the culture, and you have 1 or 2 guys that aren't, you think Bell wouldn't be. It doesn't matter. The problem we had before is that everyone wasn't bought into the culture and the system and the program that was going on in Buffalo. That's why you had some of these players that, we're a little bit of trouble, kind of get out of line. I think if you have that many guys, they start to form to the culture.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of guys that have come to Buffalo that initially were against it or didn't like it. I remember when McCoy got traded, said he wasn't leaving
Philly. He wasn't going to leave Philly.
But he got here, and they just endear themselves to the community because they see how close-knit it is, and they're like, hey, this is amazing. So, I mean, a lot of the fan favorites, they come here and they're like Kyle Williams. We go back to Freddie Jackson, all those guys, Stevie Johnson. All those guys are endeared to the community here. So it could be one of those things where you just got to get him here and get him in the locker room, and maybe his head will switch on that.
Well, I mean, the difference is he'll be getting paid to be there, the money that he wants to get paid. So I think he'll be happier. That's if you look at how much money he was making while being the top running back in the league, it's hard not to understand his perspective.
Yes.
Right? It really is. It's hard not to understand his perspective. We're getting a lot of questions about what do you do with Dable and who do you replace Dable with? So let me get to those real quick. Chris Stratton, we might as well throw him away. We're going to run a different offense. Who should we replace Dable with? again, like, you don't know if Dable's going
He'll be
anywhere.
here
This
next year.
coaching staff is so adamant about supporting the people that they hold close to themselves. And we talked about it on another episode, an episode this last week. Juan Castillo.
Yeah.
He's been with McDermott since forever. They were with the Eagles forever.
95 to 2010.
Yeah, I mean they were with each other forever. And then you look at David Culley. McDermott had connections to David Culley going back to Kansas City. So who's the new guy in the fire? It's Brian Dable. So who's the next likely candidate to go is probably Brian Dable. Yeah, I think
for another year.
I don't think this coaching staff seems to hate to admit mistakes. And you got rid of Dennison last season. They admitted their mistake and they said we're not going to make that mistake again. They hired Dable, who brings really none of his own people because they already had the offensive staff with them.
Yep.
So I have a feeling like something's going to change there. It's going to be one of the position coaches. I have to assume that one of the position coaches is going to change, but there's no promise there. If we take a look at who's out there and available right now, Todd Haley comes to mind as being the first realistic option. Great experience with Le'Veon Bell. If that's a target for you, if you really are in the Le'Veon Bell market, then bringing Todd Haley in might be something to put you over the top. Whoever hires Todd Haley, if they've got $70-80 million in cap space. God, I can't believe that number just came out of my mouth. $70 or $80 million in cap space. Le'Veon Bell becomes a realistic target, and that team immediately becomes the most likely fit for Le'Veon Bell.
The former quarterback coach in New York for the Jets his last name was Petty. I can't remember his first name. It escapes me right now, but he's in his first year of being an offensive coordinator in the NFL, and you're starting to see some development with Darnold and everything going on. He can retain that position as a quarterback coach once again if they decide to go with Haley to try to lure Bell. Mm-hmm. That's one of those things they can try to do. You're going to get an experienced play caller, a guy who's a former head coach. I'm not sure if Bowles would do that, being on the hot seat the way he is.
Yeah, Bowles is in trouble.
They say, hey, we could just get rid of you and we had a former head coach right here. So I think it's a good mistake. Can we just break for a second and talk about how I can listen to Bruce Arians call every game for the rest of my life?
I know.
He's awesome.
He's great. Just from a football standpoint, I mean, sometimes his tone of voice, I mean, it's not exactly the most endearing thing. It doesn't suck you in, but the fact remains, that Arians is one of the best offensive minds in the game, period. And if there was anybody that understands how to utilize the talent on your roster, it was Arians. And it had to be hard for him to watch this game today because the Bills really struggled to get the football and playmakers.
Everyone struggled to watch this game today.
Yeah, it was tough. It was a tough game to watch. Who was the other one that we talked about? It was Haley, and then who was the other OC candidate? Oh, I laughed about Pat Shermer. DeFilippo. Yeah, that's it.
Shermer's not leaving New York.
No, Shermer's not going to leave New York.
Even though, these are just candidates that we would want. You know what I mean? We're not necessarily they're going to be available. Yeah. So
regardless, I don't think there's any way that McDermott's gone. His job is safe, completely 1,000,000,000% safe. His job's completely safe. Bean's job is safe. I mean, listen, they've insulated themselves for job security for the next 2 seasons, unless they only win 2 games next year, right? So here's the way
they got to at least go 500 next year.
This is the way this works, right? They came in, they just happened to win, which is kind of a surprise. And they go, well, we're going to draft a quarterback in the future. Now this buys you time, right? You got another 3 seasons before you're going to start pulling the plug. So they've got another couple seasons before we really see any traction happen. To let McDermott go. I just don't see that. I just don't foresee that happening.
No, an interesting question that was brought up to me. And we'll get back to the chat. Thank you guys for joining us on this just a blah day. You know what I mean? Just before Christmas and everything. Allen not running as much the last 2 games. Is that a product of teams adjusting to him, or is that a product of them pulling the reins back on the kid and say, listen, try to make some more plays from the pocket because we need you here?
Yeah.
Because his natural instinct is to run.
Yeah. I just don't think he was able to see well enough today to really understand what was in front of him. There were a couple option plays where it looked like he was ripping the ball away from McCoy's hands. Is he ever going to hand it off on an option? Ever? Like, he just doesn't hand it off on the option plays. He doesn't. He always keeps it for himself. And listen, I'm a 36-year-old guy sitting watching football in my living room, and I can tell you that there's been only maybe a handful of times that option play has been run 20 times, which I have to imagine it has been. There have only been a handful of times that the running backs actually can. It's one of those things. As soon as you
the
see
league's
that
too
tight
fast
end
to run an option. It's like college. You know what I mean? The league is too fast for all that. And the simple fact is, a couple times I saw calls that they will try to get the ball out of Allen's hands and get McCoy open in space, and he didn't do anything with it.
Right.
So that was the thing that we were hammering the desk about. Saying, hey, listen, just try to get McCoy out in space, man. Just try to get McCoy out in space. They got him out in space today, and he didn't. 3 catches, 10 yards.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No bueno.
Bisp 25. Why was Charles Big Play Clay bench today? Oh, buddy.
I love that name, by the way. I'm putting that on a T-shirt and I'm sending it to you. That's amazing.
I mean, if you look at Charles Clay, unfortunately, he's the product of
Ryan.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's the product of a different regime, but also, remember, look at how many offensive coordinators he's been through, right? So he wasn't exactly a developed tight end when he got here. So it's tough to ask that. Yeah, it's tough to ask that of him because he was listed as a fullback with Miami. That's kind of what he did. You know, he kind of played around in the offense. But Clay was, well, McDermott said it was a coach's decision. So it wasn't health, it wasn't anything. He said it was a coach's decision. That screams to me that, you know, we just want to make sure you don't get hurt so that way we can cut you without any real concern.
Yes. Because he probably would have fell over today.
Yeah, it was just a tough game. Tough.
Diebold, Ruin, Shady, and Clay. This.
Yeah, right. John Patrick, heard rumors that Gronk to Buffalo next year. The Pats are going to save about $10 million if they let Rob Gronkowski go. Now, you have to really keep in scope of what Gronkowski is physically going to be able to do for you. He's going to play 8 games, right? And he's not going to be able to catch many passes at this point, right? The Gronk that you saw today was purely just a manimal of a run blocking tight end. He is really strong.
Unless he's going to spend his summer at Anchor Bar and play left tackle for us. Yeah, that's the only reason I would take him.
Well, Dennis Chapman, thank you for chiming in, Dennis. I didn't see in this string at all. Everyone talks about Belichick against rookie QBs. How many basically rookies did he plan against today on our defense? Yeah, we had a ton of defense. We had a ton of rookies out there. But Belichick against rookie QBs, let's not forget that a lot of those were from the Bills, Miami, and the Jets. So this is kind of like 3 teams who have been looking for a quarterback for forever. So it's kind of a little bit of a padded stat. But let's not forget that Brady is 30-3 against the Bills. Like, think about that for a moment. 30-3. And one of the games that he got pulled at halftime. But the Bills had scored enough to beat him. He's 30-2 if you remove that one game. 30-2 against the Bills. That's where this franchise has been against Bill Belichick and against Tom Brady. So even Brady, as a shell of himself, still, I mean, you look at his success against the Bills.
I've always said, well, I mean, and it has, everyone likes to just kind of thinking it's just the hatred that I have for Tom Brady. And it's not. Yeah. It's just, I think Belichick is that good of a coach that, if you guys want a homework assignment, it's actually pretty funny. Go look at the championship games that Brady has played in. Look at his opposing quarterback and their stats. Yeah. So you tell me who the real quote-unquote GOAT is. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, we could die on this hill.
I will.
Tom Brady sits when he pees and he eats his wings with ranch.
I've never said the kid was stupid. I never said the guy was stupid. And he fell into a very great situation there. I'm telling you though, but if in '99 the Bills had drafted him, he'd be working at West Turf Ford right now. I'm telling you that.
I have to agree with that. Outside looking in, so is McDermott living and dying by Allen during his time in Buffalo, or will he be able to let him go and move on if Allen doesn't work out next year? Well, the Bills doubled down on their belief that Allen is the guy by signing Matt Barkley to an extension, right?
2 years.
Yeah, so what they've done there, and again, a lot of times people will see that as, well, it's because they want to have a good contingency plan. Well, I think they signed Matt Barkley because they said, okay, we're going to lock in a backup on an affordable deal. They could really let him go. It's not going to be that big a deal if they let him go. There's no truthful commitment there, but what it does is create consistency, right? Which is important, but it also doesn't outrank Allen, right? Yeah. So you're not creating a quarterback controversy with Matt Barkley as much as Big Spence, I'm sure, in the chats is going to his head's going to explode because I said that Matt Barkley's not the future.
Only twice a year will you raise controversy is when they play the Jets. Yeah. It's the only time you're going to raise controversy.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, now, first round pick, let's just try to, a little homework assignment or a little, review. if you're a first-round pick, you get a fifth-year option, but that has to be determined at the end of your fourth season, going into your fifth. Okay, so what they're doing essentially is that they're signing Barkley for 2 years. They're going to have Allen. They're going to evaluate him for 3.
Right.
You know, and then they're going to try to see in the beginning of his fourth year if he really could be the guy. So that fourth year, that quote-unquote contract year, is going to be very telling for him, whether or not they're going to, they're going to cut bait with him or not. So, bank on Allen for 2019 and 2020 at least. Yeah. Right now. So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But the talent that this kid brings to the table, you don't have to, from a physicality standpoint, you don't have to do anything. You just got to try to develop this kid's mind, and once his mind catches up with his physical traits, because there's always so much. His physical traits are up here, and his mind's kind of like right here. So then, as the years go on, we start to be like this. We just hope that it doesn't go like this too fast.
Right. Well, and that's the thing.
If he's broken down before he gets it.
Exactly. Allen, you do have to protect Allen's physical play, and that's why the option plays kind of bother me a little bit. I know you got to try and keep him honest on the ground, but I just don't think that's the right way to go about that. Bills Mafia 55. The Bills had 3 turnovers in the New England zone and scored 3 points. Dable should be fired. Absolutely unacceptable. Fire Crossman. Special teams are atrocious. I do not trust Dable or Culley with Allen. Dude, virtual high five to you, because I couldn't agree more. The special teams was just dreadful. But again, you run into bad special teams when you have a constant change on the lower end of your roster, and the Bills have had a lot of injury problems, so you're going to see a lot of rotation. I'm not making an excuse for Crossman at all, because he's been...
Yes, you are.
I'm just saying that it's not a surprise that the special teams isn't doing great. However, the performance of special teams before that was equally as bad. So it was equally as bad, so it's fine. You found what?
No.
You're ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Dable should be fired. Absolutely unacceptable. I want to get back to that. And David Culley. Let's not forget, David Culley was a tight ends coach for a long, long time, and now he's your quarterbacks coach. Again, Juan Castillo was your offensive line coach. Was the offensive line coach, and then turned into a defensive coordinator for a couple of years. So these guys seem to believe that they can wear multiple hats.
Well, if you talk to any offensive guy, they can tell you about every coverage, every defensive front, you know what I mean? So, in that respect, I get it. I think right now, in this part of his career, I'm pretty sure Belichick could be an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Knowing all the stuff that he knows. And pretty much the only guy that could design a defense to beat Brady in his prime. So.
Let's see here.
Barkley.
Matt Barkley. Big Spence. Last week, losing the ball diving for the pylon was a touchback for the Pats today. It was a TD. There were some questionable quarterback protection calls that bothered me a little bit. So Allen took a shot in the end zone.
Low,
real low.
Yeah.
In New England. Not called. And listen, I don't ever try and bait for penalties. I never want that to be allowed, right? But I think it speaks to the dynamic of the game, right? The way that penalties are called. Not a lot of penalties today from 2 of the worst and most penalized teams in the NFL. I think they combined for 9 penalties or 8 penalties today, so really very, very low penalties.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we got word that it was the Crew that's called the second most penalties in the NFL this year.
Yeah. So
they were gonna tap the brake pedal a little bit. So
the league was like, guys, come on, calm it down a little bit.
Take it easy.
Calm it down. Thomas Camp. Dable decides to throw the ball on 3rd and 2. He sucks. So as a result, I went to Tim Hortons, got a coffee. Cheers, brother.
Got you.
Yeah, got you on that one.
That would be every day. You know how caffeinated it would be if I came and got a drink every time he made a bad call. What's wrong with him? He's shaking in his sleep.
Yeah, I know, right? Dable was a coward today. I don't trust him. The play calls were so weak. They were so weak. But again, you saw Allen only looking downfield. There was nothing open underneath. Now that was game plan. The Pats knew if we could take away 0 through 10, we're gonna have no problem against
something that Dable, having worked with Belichick in the past,
he should have known.
Should have known. He's gonna take away throws at the sticks. We got to try to go deeper. You guys got to try to get open. Now, was it inferior athletes going up against that secondary, or was he married to his script? Because I saw Patrick Chung go out of the game on the second play, and he didn't call anything over the middle.
Nope. Yeah, they ran cover 0 a couple times where they didn't even have a safety.
No.
You know, and it's like
we dare you, and they didn't take the bait.
Yeah.
Well, I know Belichick's got something up his sleeve. Well, you know what? Throw something. Throw something at. Dude, I didn't see one pick route in that 5-wide set. Not one. Nope. New England calls it all the time. So you don't run a pick play.
DJX Sketch, percent chance right now that Dable is gone before next season. Okay, so defining next season. Dable's going to finish this season because there's no reason to bring anybody in for last week. It's not going to happen. So what is likely to happen, right, is once the season concludes, they could bring in a new offensive coordinator, but it would likely be somebody who was in the league at the start of the year. And the reason that I say that is because you're going to ask that offensive coordinator to start developing scheme and then get with your pro personnel department to help with draft stuff, right? So you want your new OC in the building as soon as possible if it's somebody who has some pedigree inside the league. So Todd Haley, you want him in the building as soon as possible.
The day after the season ends.
Exactly. So depending on who they feel their likely candidate is, will depend on whether Dable is there. You know,
he's going to be here next. I told you.
If Dable's not fired within the first week of the season ending, then just anticipate him being here. If I had to give it a percent chance, it is more likely than not that Dable stays, just because the staff seems to just, they get an idea in their head and they just keep pounding that square peg into the round hole, and you know, it's just. I say it's a 30% chance Dable's gone. It's, again, more likely than not.
Yeah, he'll be here. I think he'll be here because for as many excuses as we brought up over the year, I mean, you know, you're interchanging wide receivers, you're interchanging linemen, you got the rookie quarterback comes in, goes out, you play 4 different quarterbacks, all that stuff. They could say we didn't accurately evaluate you, but the fact is, if he was still able to move the ball with the cast of characters that he was given, because you're supposed to be there's only 32 offensive coordinator jobs in the world. If you're able to move the ball with subpar players, that means that you could scheme against anybody when we get you players. Okay, so they're saying that, oh wait, I didn't have all these guys. You got to get me guys so I can win. Well, yeah, why don't you win with guys that I have? You know what I mean? So. That's the thing that always gets me about it. It's like I've always been questioning the scheme, and I know he's not working with number 1 wide receivers, not even some of them are number 2 wide receivers. Right. He has practice squad guys all over the field, but you still got to try to find a way.
Sure. John Patrick, Pat's run game looked so easy. It did. Like, if you want to talk about developing a run game, go back and watch that Pats game again from a Patriots perspective. They own that line of scrimmage the whole game. Like, they owned all the gaps.
Fronts,
like, if you
both
want
fronts they owned.
Yeah. But also, one thing you saw the Patriots do is they really put the brakes on Sony Michel at the beginning of the season, because one thing you see with rookie players is once they hit, there's like a 10-game wall, right?
Yep.
Michel's not there because Michel wasn't very active at the beginning of the season. You saw the Saints do it with Kamara his rookie season. Same thing. They pumped the brakes. You did not see the Jags do it with Fournette. The Jags ran Fournette into the ground, and then as soon as Week 10 hit, he was gassed.
Hunt, same thing last year.
Hunt, the same thing. And you're seeing the same thing with Tremaine Edmonds, truthfully. You're seeing the gas run out of the tank.
A lot of these rookies.
And he's not the player that you want being solely responsible for your defense at this point. Just from a gas tank perspective, he's spent. This is a profession now. He was a college student before. I understand they treat these guys like professional athletes. Believe me, I understand that. But it's a very different game from an NFL level.
We have a lot of new comments.
I know, which is great.
Thank you very much.
Let's see. Big Spence. Give odds that Bean goes after a guy that can actually catch a ball, like Hopkins or one of the Steelers receivers. You're going to hear a lot about how the Bills picked Zay Jones over Juju Smith-Schuster. You're going to hear that a lot because that's, again, one of those, the Bills drafted Terrell Troop instead of Rob Gronkowski sort of arguments.
I keep referring back to the system when people try to make those arguments. I understand. You got to evaluate talent. You got to do all this stuff. But if Juju is in this system, I don't know. I mean, you don't know. With like the system that the Bills have had as far as their offensive coordinators over the years, you would have brought anybody. Gronk might have been out of the league by now.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have been a tackle. Staying around here going to Duff swings.
The fact is the Bills are missing that big-bodied receiver. They had a Kelvin Benjamin as a big-bodied receiver, but all he was big.
All.
Yeah, he was just big. So you got to be very, very careful about what you wish for there. The Bills do miss that physical presence like Hopkins has. Hopkins is just disgusting. Like he's a disgusting animal of a wide receiver. And again, if you look at this draft class, not really sure it's there. You look at this free agency class, I can tell you it's not there. So you're gonna have to do you're gonna be without that for right now. I guess is the best thing I can tell you. So odds the Bills get one of those guys, I can't even give you odds, man, because honestly, I don't even know if that guy's available coming in. That's one thing that kind of surprises me. The Bills have the opportunity right now to just absolutely be roping through practice squad players from other teams. So if a wide receiver is 6'4", sign him up the practice squad. What's the difference at this point? No. Yet they brought in a kick returner this week. That there's just some things I don't understand about the way the front office is going about trying to develop that wide receiver position. I like the McKenzie signing, Robert Foster. I'm with that. Yeah. The Bills need a big physical wide receiver. They should be looking for it now by trying to steal a player off somebody else's practice squad, but they haven't done that yet.
Mm-hmm. Robert Sheary. Hindsight being 2020, should have taken whatever the Eagles were offering from McCoy. The other running back was much better. Yeah. I totally understand that. I don't know what the offer was. I think maybe they say the 5th or 4th or something like that. For McCoy, they might have tipped their hand. They're completely throwing in this season. I don't know what they feel that they gain by having McCoy on this team, the way that he's been running lately, whether or not maybe he's getting excuses of why they haven't.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
One thing I will tell you about McCoy is that from an initial vision standpoint, he hasn't always had the best gap vision, right? He's always kind of depended on his quick ability to get in the gap when he sees it. He doesn't often see those gaps developing really well. So in Daboll's system, single cutbacks are everything, right? So single cutbacks, like Chris Ivory is a great example. He's a single cutback. He's going to see the gap. He's going to cut to the gap. He's gone, right? That's it. That's all he's doing. They just have a tendency to be more effective in a Brian Daboll system. Now, one thing about Brian Daboll that you might not all realize is Daboll spent 4 years as an offensive coordinator with other teams throughout the league, right? And he's often, very, very often, in the top 6 for rushing attempts, right? Often. And he's often in the 20s in touchdowns through the rushing game. So running the ball is something that Daboll has, if you look at his offensive coordinator history, running the ball is what he has been brought in for, right? That's what he's been brought in to do. So again, you look at his history, and you look at the production of the running game, it is just not appropriate to keep him on the staff any longer. However, I just don't see him being let go in any form or fashion.
I don't know why.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't see it being let go in any
Unless it was a financial move this year, not to do it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's see
here. Bring back Rick Dennison, angry Buffalo sportsman. You are angry if that's what you're commenting. Wow, that's Dennison. What's he doing? I think he's... Is he working at Midas? No, I think he's rotating tires.
I don't know. Right. Bills Mafia, man 55. You could just tell by watching the game, the offense was so predictable. An I formation was run. Absolutely. You saw that in early down situations. They go heavy. They go 22. 22 per 22.
How
Mario,
dare you? How dare you?
You may have seen it during the broadcast. They were holding up signs on the sidelines with numbers, 32, 22, 12. So you may not know what that is. So Mario will tell you what that means.
You really gonna make me do this?
Yeah. It's easy. It'll take 30 seconds.
Running backs and tight ends.
Yeah.
That's basically how that. When it's 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end.
Right. So you may not always see that on the broadcast, but it chopped in today where they cut to the sidelines, and a couple times you saw the big yellow signs with black numbers on them. That's what it was indicating. It was telling the defense what base formation they were running out of. So it wasn't saying they were in I formation, but it was, 2 tight ends, 2 running backs. So that way the linebackers can look over, get a look, and then they can determine, what the defensive play call and alignment is going to be. It just makes their job a little bit easier. Let's see here. BIS 25. We should sign Chad Kelly. Who cares if he's a lush? It would actually improve
Elway and Jim Kelly.
It would improve the quarterback room at this point. They're not going to give Josh Allen any competition at this position. Period. The end. That is just going to be that's going to be what happens. They're going to put no competition in front of him. They did what they could to put no competition in front of him this year as well. Like that's A.J. McCarron, Nate Peterman. This is what they did. They put no competition in front of him. It said at some point he will just win the job. And that's just what happened.
Pips coming in. Are they likely to pick an OC with similar schemes to Dable to keep consistency, or pick someone completely different? I think that's a great question. I think what they'll have to do is they'll have to try to find a guy who can, who has been productive with multiple teams and multiple schemes and multiple players, multiple different type players. So if he was not only a guy that can work with, let's say, if he was handed Kansas City's roster or handed the LA Rams roster, you know what I mean? Can you work with in multiple? That's why everyone was always really high on Arians, is that no matter what you did to the guy, he was still able to be productive in the offense that he ran. So I think they're going to, whether or not they're going to change the scheme or not, if they go for another offensive coordinator, I think you have to bring in a guy that can utilize the talent that's already here, because you have talent that's here that's really cheap.
Right.
You know what I mean? Guys that you're going to have control with their contracts for a little while. So, and then he'll say, okay, well, I need X, Y, and Z just to kind of fill in stuff. So, but here's my initial scheme. So they're going to have a guy that just absolutely blows them away as far as, that's an innovator, like a McVay type guy. So, and I don't really see a lot of those guys on the market. I think that's probably why they're going to stay with David.
Cordero Linder. Peyton Manning should be the next OC or QB coach. Peyton Manning's making a lot of money doing absolutely nothing. I don't think he wants anything to do with football. However, when you talk about former quarterbacks, being options, we hear Jordan Palmer, his name tossed around a lot.
Don't say it.
What, me?
Yes, yours.
No, you go ahead. Ken Dorsey. So Ken Dorsey is another option because he's got a long history with McDermott down in Carolina. So again, you just have to, the name just has to be thrown back into the hat, because if you're going to start talking about offensive coordinators or even quarterback coaches, Ken Dorsey's name is going to come back up. He interviewed for the offensive coordinator position here. Dable ended up getting it. But again, it's another name that was out there and is still out there. Ken Dorsey is not employed right now. Not saying that's a good or a bad thing. Some guys will turn down offers because they think they'll still be at the top of the pile when it comes to these job openings coming through. But Ken Dorsey is another name that you just kind of have to look out for. Former quarterbacks, quarterback coach or OC. I mean, I really think you got to look at your quarterback coaching room and kind of move forward, because I don't know what David Culley is teaching Josh Allen at this point. Let's see here. Bills fan 7883, Robbie Anderson, please. Robbie Anderson's a little bit of a culture issue. There's a lot of character concerns about Robbie Anderson in New York, so getting him into Buffalo, sure, but again,
plus,
the culture is one of those things.
I've never liked division guys.
And that's a personal preference, though. I don't think that really
matters.
He never likes division guys, but Drew Bledsoe's his favorite player. Okay, sure, please make this argument.
He was my favorite player before he was traded. Why do you think who won that deal? That's why I don't like division guys. If Belichick's willing to get rid of you, no, that's not. How'd Malloy work out? I mean, for a game or two. You know what I mean? If he gets rid of guys, that doesn't. You're done. You're absolutely done. Like back in the day, if you play for the Raiders, like in the 70s, Gene Upshaw used to say, he goes, there's not many stops after here. So if you don't work out here, it's not going to, and then a lot of guys that leave the Patriots, they don't really do very well, because it's the scheme and the system that makes them stars. I think Seymour is like the only guy that is left and actually been somewhat productive after leaving. So, but I don't like division guys, because the coach knows so much about that player and how to beat or defeat that player that it just becomes. And you gotta be really mentally strong to play this game. And if Robbie Anderson is twice a year is focused on revenge in a division game, you gotta take care of your division first. If he's not focused in that game, then it's like the Jets won that deal again. So.
Sean Munley, Bean should be looking for guys that can separate either with speed or precision. I mean, let's give credit where credit's due. He's already cycled that wide receiver group already, right? So he's already cycled that. So he's done a fair job there. So I'm certainly don't want to say that he's not doing a good enough job now. It's just signing kick returners at this point to me is like I'm being petty. It's one roster spot, but it's just not what I would do. I would be looking for guys who are big guys.
John Patrick did it. He done did it.
What? What I missed?
Look, he just done did it.
Oh, jeez. I have to go. There's so AJ Green. Man, Cincinnati's a tire fire right now, aren't they? Tire fire. So what would you give up for AJ Green? I mean, you're not giving up on his pick. You're not giving. You're not. You're telling me the pick nine
How old
overall
is
to
he?
12th
30?
overall. Yeah.
31?
I think he'll be 30. I think he'll be 30.
He's a good bridge. If you want to draft a guy, he can give you 2 good years.
Okay, but you have to really ask yourself, Josh Allen's your quarterback. So you're going to trade a first-round pick for A.J. Green.
No, I'm not.
How many times are you going to be throwing the football to make that pick worth it?
Can I?
No, you're not allowed to talk.
I'm joke slam you. No, what I would do is, I mean, depending on what the offer is for him. Obviously, he's 30 years old. He's coming off. He's been injured a few times in his career. So, that being said, what's he worth? Third in a player? You think? He's not going to sign a top-level contract.
No.
So you're going to get him cheap, and he's a guy that could be serviceable, I think, for 2 years for you in an offense, and get all of those guys acclimated to hey, this one works, this one doesn't work, this is blah blah blah. And wait, who's that? Pibbs? Oh, I'd love to have Tyler Boyd, but Cincinnati's not getting rid of him.
Oh no, not.
Oh my God, they're
right
locking
now.
him up.
Yeah, not right now.
A third and Zay. They're not just going to give him to us.
Yeah, no way. No way. We should send Allen to Gruden's QB camp, BISP 25. Nobody should go to Gruden's QB camp. I also want to just point this out. If you're ever here at Hashtag Sports, we care about you. So if you're ever feeling bad about yourself, you're just down, just remember.
Oh, I know what he's doing.
Just remember, A.J. McCarron was once replaced by Nate Peterman twice in the same season. Just remember that.
Just think about that.
Just remember, if you're ever feeling bad about yourself, remember you're not A.J. McCarron because you got replaced by Nate Peterman twice.
Two different organizations picked.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
He goes home to Catherine Webb, though. I don't feel too bad for him.
Well, and a kid named Cash. I think Cash. Cash Carter.
Didn't he get his tattoo in Tuscaloosa?
It says Bama Boy. Listen,
that's not too far fetched then. Cash. Cash is pretty mild compared to what he could have been.
Let's see here. What's the cost benefit analysis long term with Green? Doesn't make Sean Munley. Nope. What's the cost benefit analysis long term with Green? It doesn't make sense for anything over a third, and that's pushing it. You're right. There's major declining value with AJ Green. Yes. Major. And that's what you do when you trade draft picks. You're trading future value for short term.
Yeah, let's say you trade a third round pick. What realistically is the shelf life of a third round pick on a team? You think it's 4 years, right?
Yeah.
If it's 3 or 4 years, so unless you think, it's a great point.
Well, when you draft a first, second, or third round player, you're drafting a starter, right?
Yeah. You think for 4 years at least.
Yeah.
Okay. So at least though. Mm-hmm. So do you think you're going to have Green for 4 years?
No.
So that's why you don't trade. That's why somebody's. Why don't they just trade this for him? Okay. First.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at AJ Green, you have to start with a 4th round pick, right? You're really not moving it. Third. You're starting at the 4th because that's just. You're looking at contract. You're looking at. Foot injuries are terrifying with wide receivers. Foot injuries are scary. Foot injuries are been the bane of Sammy Watkins' career. Like foot injuries are just a death nail.
Sammy Watkins has been the bane of Sammy Watkins' career.
Bills fan 7883. Defensively, every move McBean makes works out. Offensively, they're a disaster. Look at how the QB position was handled, just awful. They have to bring an offensive guru and get out of his way. I think there's we give credit a lot to Bean and McDermott for the fact they've been cycling in defensive players, and it's really held up until today.
Because the scheme works.
But I think, that's the thing that gets me. Is it the scheme or is it the player? Is it the talent level? Are they really able to identify, talent that other teams are missing, or are they identifying talent that fits into the scheme and they find a way to communicate it to them?
And they're continually developing that because they call up guys from the practice squad like Dean Marlowe.
Mm-hmm.
And
you just love Dean Marlowe. I'm going to get you a Dean Marlowe jersey
because he
Christmas.
proves my point. They had the guy on their practice squad who was hurt, Hyde or Poyer. Doesn't matter. He comes in. He comes in and plays like a madman.
Yeah.
They didn't lose much of that. But, you know what I mean? It was...
Madden Football Talk. Zay actually caught a ball and for a TD. Yes, he caught it with his numbers when a quarterback was playing 4 yards off of him, turned around and dove for a TD. But let's not forget, Zay Jones is your leading receiver in touchdowns this season by like a mile. It's not even close.
What does he have?
I think he's got at least 4 or 5. And I don't even know if there's a Bills receiver that has 2. Outside of him.
He had one in Miami. He had one from Peterman.
Yep.
He had one today. Sugar honey iced tea. I can't remember.
Madden football talk. We need a wide receiver that can really stretch the field and a good young halfback.
You're not wrong.
The Bills actually do. Allen stretches the field for them, right? So I think you kind of have to look at this with a little bit of a different perspective. Teams are going to respect the pass because Allen's the quarterback,
They didn't
right?
have to today.
They didn't have to today, right? So I'm not saying you need wide receivers who can stretch the field. The thought is the wide receivers are going to stretch the field because Allen's the QB. I mean, he keeps his eyes downfield. I love it. I really like Robert Foster, but he hasn't adjusted the balls well in the air. On those long passes, he just hasn't adjusted well to the balls.
How many times do you think Miami will go cover 0 next week?
Oh, a lot. That's going to be the book.
It's copycat, man.
And that's going to be the book. You're going to see.
Until you can develop a run game, until Allen can develop and be more consistent on his passes, they're not going to drop out of the box. They're not.
Oh, Sean Munley hit me right in the feels. Bud Dupree. Boy, did I want Bud Dupree on the Bills in the draft.
Possible defensive free agent. That's how much you wanted him.
Let's see. Shane Ray, Tim Williams, Bud Dupree. Love Bud Dupree. I still love Bud Dupree.
Love me some Shane Ray, too.
Yeah, you're going to see, again, the Bills are going to start cycling in those outside pressure guys. Bud Dupree is a guy that can come in and play that strong side linebacker because he'd be big, right? But I really think you have to look at moving Zoe into a rotational spot into the middle.
Yes.
They're going to need to back up that middle linebacker spot because the depth there is just terrible.
What about putting Zoe to put his hand in the dirt?
I mean,
with Murphy and Lawson.
I mean, you can do that, right?
I'm just saying. I mean, because you create the illusion of, and he could drop back. If multiple of your defensive schemes have rush three and drop a guy out.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Lawson do it. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't Alexander be perfect for that role? Mm-hmm. Because you don't know if he's gonna rush or he's gonna drop out.
Yeah.
Creating confusion on the offense.
Bills fan 7883. What benefits for Allen would be best based on player type? A big body wide receiver like AJ Green, or
benefits.
Yeah. So
I thought you were talking like maybe Liberty Mutual or Independent Health. No. If he keeps running around, you need one of those two.
Yeah, I know, right? Good that he's got the red shirt treatment. What benefits would be better for Allen development line? A big body wide receiver, right? Or a dynamic pass catching tight end? This draft is very interesting in that respect because there's going to be a lot of tight ends available, and it's really shaping up to be a very nice tight end draft. So what's a better fit for Allen? If you're Buffalo, are you looking at that wide receiver, which again take a little bit longer to develop than a tight end, right? Tight ends they don't take as long to develop. I mean,
it's a great question.
It's a great question.
Is that hashtag Q&A?
I think that could be an episode.
Is that going to be an episode?
Hashtag Q&A, that one. I got to think about that one. That's a really good question.
Because there's so many things I want to mention about it, and that's a long episode.
Right.
That's a great question.
Big Spence asks, who was the last Bills coach who wasn't a defensive coordinator? Ask this guy. I don't know.
Ryan? I'm going backwards.
Well, Marone was a tight ends coach.
Marone.
He's a tight ends coach.
He's an old lineman.
Tight ends coach. I think it's Marone.
Before that, I don't even know.
Yeah.
You think back, you think a Duran?
Yeah.
Sucks.
Brutal. That's brutal. Let's see here. Tim Ellington, we need a high jumping, catching wide receiver with good hands. Oh, yeah, Chan. That's right.
Excellent.
Yeah,
thank you. I think you guys would pick us up. Thanks.
Yeah, the Bills, again, from the wide receiver, the talent level just isn't where it needs to be at the wide receiver position. Again, it's just, and we all know that. It's just how are they going to address it, I think is the most important question. CBs need to be taken care of in free agency, but make sure he doesn't retire 4 games in Madden football talk. Vontae Davis. Man, I would have been happy to Uber him out of Buffalo for free. I would have done it for free. No problem at all. No problem at all.
Oh, my God.
Let's see. Bills fan 7083. Switch Edmonds to Zoe's spot and get an instinctual middle linebacker who's capable of reading the whole field. Let Edmonds put his hand in the ground at times and use his athleticism. Edmonds hasn't worked at the mic. You're 1,000,000,000% correct. Milano is really a more natural inside linebacker. He's really more natural in the position.
I still laugh though. It just makes me laugh because I know you won't do this, but I'll do it for you. You have stated that not really at Sam, but at will. Mm-hmm. You put Edmonds at will.
Yeah.
He's a multiple All-Pro guy.
Yeah.
He can play the will.
You just see, and let's just be clear about that. The reason that you do that is because you can see better at the will linebacker spot. Yeah, it's just better.
It
better
takes it takes the guessing game a little bit out of it because I mean, no one's going to cut back on him because he might run him down from behind, and he's always going to be strung up to the line on that side. And they even tried that against Miami a little bit. Was that the game Milano got hurt? Miami? He got hurt.
Yeah, well, he got hurt in like the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, but it's funny to me because a lot of people, when he got drafted, was like, "Oh, this is their next Kuechly. This is their next Kuechly." However, Milano, who's from Boston College, Kuechly's from Boston College.
Yeah, and Milano played middle linebacker.
Milano was playing middle linebacker that game. So it's funny to see that maybe they think eventually Milano is the guy to take over that middle linebacker spot. Yeah. If they switch them, which they did a few times in the Miami game, I loved what was going on. Yeah, but then they switched them back later, and then Milano in the second half.
Yeah, then Milano's foot got turned the wrong way, and that was the end of that.
It was brutal.
Good news is that it's not an injury it's not a ligament injury, right? It's not a knee. It's not. It's just just broke his leg in half. So the good news is that it looked like an elbow for a little bit.
Good news. That should break his legs. Is that good news too?
Yeah. Right.
No.
It's but my issue, this was a very hard draft for me this last offseason. Full transparency, right?
True story.
It was a very hard draft for me because Josh Allen was not the player that I wanted, but he's the player that we have. Tremaine Edmonds was not the player that I wanted, but he's the player that we had. So I would love to say that the Bills were able to wrap up this draft for me in a great fashion. But again, this is about development, and the Bills finished at 6-10. I think that's probably where a lot of people had them in the first place. I think the road there has been a little bit more painful than a lot of us had planned for. So we got to wrap this up. If anybody has anything that they want for Q&A, go ahead and do hashtag Q&A in the comments on any video. We'll go ahead and pick that up, and we'll pick up Bills fan 7883's comment about development for Allen, player position, player type. I think that's a good conversation. Anything else you guys need, let us know. Don't forget, we will be at David Adams we're going to broadcast right after the game. So we're not going to wait till the store closes and then broadcast like we did last time. We didn't know they closed at 5 o'clock.
No, we're going to be there early. Please show up around. We'll probably be there around 3:30. We'll probably be there around 3:30.
Yeah, I'll probably take off over at half. Yeah,
the game. They will close at 5. Yep. So we're gonna do our post game, and we're heading over to Duff's afterward, right?
We are.
Yeah. That's right.
Making plans for me. Look at this. Making plans for me.
That's what I do. Hey, and tell all your friends about this channel because the 400th subscriber gets this shirt. So let me know.
You don't want that shirt. You don't want it. It smells like shame. It's terrible.
And whiskey. But guys, once again, thank you for tuning in. As he said, any of the things you want us to talk about or create an episode on, hashtag Q&A, throw it in any one of our videos. We'll get it. We're going to go drive around like idiots for a little while. And once again, thank you for your contributions to the chat today. Yep. Hopefully we answer some of your questions. It wasn't a Bills win, but we're starting to see progress here and there. It started to take more shape, basically, of the things that are going on. They're going to happen in the offseason.
Yeah, I think it's a little. I think after today, there's a lot of things that we got a lot of questions about, and I think it's a bit more clear as to the direction that things are going. So it's kind of the way it goes. Bill fan 7883. Thanks. Good show again. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Again, we're going to be at David Adams.
David Adams.
It's right there. It is right there. Well, that's Rockies now. Not the same thing. Don't talk. Let me finish the show. So anyway, don't forget to enter our contest for that autographed Thurman Thomas helmet. The link is in the description, so enter every day. We would love to send that to you guys. We've got entries.
Smell like shame.
It does a little bit. We've got entries from all over the world. We got entries from India, from Quebec. We got dude, we got entries from the Philippines. We got entries from everywhere.
Hurry up, keep doing them.
Yeah, I know. So please enter. We'd love to send it to any of you that follow us and help in the chat. So, thanks again, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good one.